Alright, so today we're going to talk about the circular flow diagram. Remember we talked a little bit about models and how models are a simplification of reality? And this is a model that we use to explain how the economy interacts and how the economy grows and shrinks. It's a very simple model, but it gives us an idea of the key players that we think play a role in growing or shrinking the economy. So the pieces we have are households. These are individuals or households together. Bill and Melinda Gates are both individuals, but together, because they're married and they live in the same house, they become a household. And so they make decisions about consumption and investment together, we assume. We have households. Firms or corporations, businesses, anyone attempting to take these factors of production and make a profit. We have goods and services market, where people go to buy the things that they consume. And we have a factor market, where firms and households go to decide the price of these factors of production. So households go to the factor market, and what they have to sell is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. This land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship go to the firms so that the firms can produce the goods and services that we use. In exchange for that land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, the households are going to require wages, interest, profits, or rent. Land, you get rent. Labor, there are wages. The interest rate comes from capital. And of course, profits are earned by entrepreneurs who take risks. So this money goes from the firm to the households. Now the goal of firms is to earn a profit, and the way that they do that is they take the factors of production, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, and they turn it into goods and services. Delivery services, lawyer services, or goods like buildings or cars. And those goods and services, they go to households. Remember, we're working so we can get money, so that we can buy stuff. This is the stuff, the goods and services. And of course, the way we pay for it is we send our money, our wages, interest, profit, rent. We send it to the goods and services market. We exchange with the firms for those products. This is the basic interaction that we see, or believe we see in the economy here. Now, this flow, this circular flow, represents how money is moving through the economy. So if we have an injection of money into the economy, if we say, find a gold brick under our mattress, and then we have more money to buy goods and services, if the money just comes out of nowhere, we can buy more stuff. If we buy more stuff, that means firms sell more stuff, firms make more profit, they have more money. They take that money and they go to the factor market, they buy more land, labor, and capital. More land, labor, and capital means households have more income means they buy more stuff, means firms get more profit, means etc., etc. So when we inject money into this system, that flow, it keeps growing, the economy grows. By the same token, if someone just took a pile of money and decided to burn it up, if we had a loss of money from the system, if money was pulled out of the system, well, that means they have less money to buy goods and services, which means firms make less money and have less money to buy land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, less income for households, and then that leads to less goods and services production or purchases, and then the cycle continues as the economy shrinks. So when we pull money out of the economy is shrinking. When we inject money in, the economy grows, and that's what this model is telling us, that money moves around as a circle and it can have a virtuous or an unvirtuous cycle aspect. So what we haven't included yet is government, financial markets, and the rest of the world. This represents our economy, it represents individuals and businesses, but we also want to include the other key players in the economy. So the government is a very big piece of our economy. It plays a very big role in how our economy works. And of course, as we know, households, what they give to the government is taxes. We pay our taxes so that the government can use that money for one thing in particular. First is transfers. So transfers are things like welfare payments or social security payments. It's money that the government is literally giving to individuals or households. The government also ends up buying quite a few goods and services. So they buy shoes and shirts and paper and pencils. And the government also ends up borrowing quite a bit of money. So the financial market, when they sell treasury bills or treasury bonds, the financial market is essentially letting the government borrow money. Now you may wonder where that money exactly comes from that the government can borrow. Well, part of it is going to come from households. Because remember, we don't spend everything that we make, we save something of what we make. And so that savings goes into the financial market. And so part of that will include borrowing by the government. Also, financial markets allow for firms to borrow money. So firms borrow money so they can expand, so they can invest in new technologies, and some of that borrowing is going to be the direct result of the savings that households have taken part in. We also have this last piece, this rest of the world. Remember that we're not just an island here, and the rest of the world is interacting with us in very dynamic ways. And when the rest of the world decides to invest in the United States, what they're doing is essentially saving in the United States. They're investing in the United States. And so that's a flow from the rest of the world to our financial markets, which again lets the firms borrow, lets the government borrow. A lot of government debt is actually owned by foreign holders. And then if we have banks or individuals even, banks that want to invest in the rest of the world, they do it through banks, and that means an investment in, say, China or Argentina. That's going to happen from financial markets to the rest of the world. So we have one last piece, in that the rest of the world likes to buy our stuff, and we like to buy stuff from the rest of the world. So we have imports and exports as a piece of this flow of money through our economy. So when we're exporting goods and services, we're actually sending goods out into the rest of the world. And when we're importing goods and services, we're actually taking goods and services from the rest of the world and we're bringing it into our market. And that way there's money flowing between the rest of the world and our goods and services market. Now it's important to remember that this model is a simplification of reality. It doesn't include everything. This model is very specifically about the flow of money, goods and services and money. So there's certain markets that we don't have here. We don't have a market for loving grandmothers. We don't have a market for beautiful sunsets. We don't have a market for a lot of the things that make people happy and that we value, because this model's job is not to understand those things necessarily, but to understand the flow of money throughout our economy. So how does money move, and how does it make the economy shrink or grow over time?